The Lions and Dan Campbell hear that negativity. They know what to do about it.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome in, everybody. We got a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry with you. It is a Wednesday, September 10th into Thursday, September 11th. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate all of you. Locked On Lions today is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Appreciate our everydayers that are out there. Shout out to you that watch the podcast on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel, or again, listen wherever you get your podcasts. My guy up at Bradley University, Peter DeLolo. Thank you, Peter, for rocking Lions gear up there in Peoria, Illinois. And of course, the legend from Sandler Sales, Sandler EAM, one Christopher Druin. All right, let's get into it. We got Lauren Cox tomorrow. It's the Thursday crossover brought to you by Prize Picks. Lauren, of course, hosts Locked On Bears, Touchdown Bears. We got Lauren Cox tomorrow. Talk a little Detroit and Chicago and the return of Benedict. Oh, yeah, Ben Johnson's coming back to Ford Field. Amon-Ra St. Brown says, boo him. I love that. There's nothing like good rivalries. That's what we need. And the NBA, all anybody does is hug each other. We've got some rivalries here. It's fun. And we will talk about that and all of that with Lauren Cox tomorrow. All right, coming up on the show today, let's do a little truth and reality, because Dan Campbell this morning was asked about what's going on out in the world with the Lions and Lions fans, and he had a great response. I want to share that with you momentarily. There is one good stat. Let me give you some stats. I got one good stat for you from Sunday. There was a positive stat from Sunday. I know it's nearly impossible. The Lions got embarrassed by the Packers, but we will get into that coming up momentarily. The Bears have a few issues themselves. Where should the Lions go offensively? How should they conquer the Dennis Allen-led Bears defense on Sunday at 1 o'clock down at the corner of Brush and Adams? I will address that, and we're going to play a new game at the end of the show. All right, we'll do a call of the day on Friday. Go to speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page. Leave me a voicemail. We'll do a call of the day, but that's on Friday. Today, I do want to play a game, and it's called Stutter Stiff. And I'm stealing this from an old cohort that I used to work with back in the mid-90s. Yes, I'm that old. Named Tony Rizzo, who's still doing radio in Cleveland. And Riz used to play this game on 1420 WHK, where I worked coming out of college in 1995, called Stutter Stiff, where you name somebody and they're either a stud or a stiff, nothing in between. I'm going to give you a list of 4 Lions players. 5, actually. 5 Lions players. Stud or stiff, and I'll tell you what I think that they are right now. We'll do that today right here on Locked On Lions. But Dan Campbell spoke this morning, and I want to get the quote correct because I thought it was really good. And this came from Dave Burkett this morning from the Detroit Free Press. Dan Campbell, and if he's surprised at how negative some are about the Lions right now after last week's performance. Campbell said, quote, no, because that's where the standards are at now. That means we've risen above where we were at one time, end quote. I love that. I love that. Listen, all right, I'm kind of going to try my best to be the voice of reason here to talk about the Detroit Lions. This is a really good franchise. All right. And I know for a lot of you, you don't know how to act when they're this good. I don't know either. This is crazy to me. I've been doing this podcast since the 2016 season. We had to sit through some average Jim Caldwell teams, some decent Jim Caldwell teams, but some average Jim Caldwell teams. We had to sit through some horrific Quinn Tricia days with the maestro Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia as head coach. It was terrible. It was to the point where I ran into people that said, I used to listen to your show and I can't anymore. And it has nothing to do with you. I'm just done with the Lions. People were finished with that outfit. All right. The Lions under Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell this talk about Brad Holmes can't draft and Brad Holmes sucks and how come he's not signing this guy or that guy. Stop. The Lions sucked on Sunday. They were terrible. There's no excusing it. All three phases, they were bad. But that doesn't mean they suck. That doesn't mean the season's over. There's too many good football players here. The coaching staff is excellent. Jury is still out on John Morton and Kelvin Shepard as coordinators. Absolutely. But you got guys on this staff that other teams have been trying to get and steal from you that stayed. Dan Campbell won 15 games as a head coach last year. Took the team from 3 to 9 to 12 to 15 because they got embarrassed on Sunday, because they got kicked in the teeth by the Packers. Doesn't all of a sudden mean that the season's over. And I don't care what Dan Orlovsky says on Get Up or on McAfee. These guys, I've got to fill time every week or every day on my show, but I do about 27 minutes a day. There's plenty to do in 27 minutes. These shows that run for 2 or 3 hours a day that know they have to talk NFL, right? And know that they've got to get clicks. They've got to put it out on social media. And I'm not saying that Dan Orlovsky's not a good analyst or a good guy. I think he does a nice job. But Dan Orlovsky was on McAfee yesterday. The team I'm most worried about is the Lions. I don't like what I'm seeing. They were pretty sloppy in the preseason. Come on. The Chicago Bears had 12 penalties the other day. 12 at home. Not worried about them. The Baltimore Ravens gagged away yet another double-digit lead in the second half. John Harbaugh, that's what he does. No, John Harbaugh is a Super Bowl winning coach. I get that. Beat his brother years ago. But you give John Harbaugh a double-digit lead in the second half, that's not the coach I want. People aren't worried about the Ravens. Now, Baltimore's really good. Don't get me wrong. And they're at home this weekend against the Browns. I'm sure they'll get right. But the Lions are going to be fine. The Lions have got to win this week. All right? There's no question about it. The Lions have got to win this week. The game that's right in front of you. As Aaron Boone always says, the Yankees manager, it's right in front of us. This game in front of them this week is the most important game. But this team is too good to look that bad last Sunday. Some of it was Green Bay. Packers snuffed out everything. Their communication was good. Their guys were on task. Their guys looked the part. But truth and reality, what Dan Campbell just said, we've upped the expectations. We've, gulp, Marty Morningwig, raised the bar. The bar is high. All right? It is. So when you have a bar that you've set high up to be a championship caliber organization, you act a certain way, you expect certain things. And yes, the fans are pissed. The fans are upset. The fans are worried. But the Lions have they know their obligation is to go out and look a whole lot better this Sunday. I like that fans are upset and angry. The ones that are saying, that's it, season's over, I don't agree with you. There's way too many games to be played. The Lions have set the bar high, and they're a high-quality organization. And by the way, the baseball team in this town, that is a piece of crap organization. Go to theathletic.com and read the story today about how there's like 8 or 9 staffers, and most of them are gone now, have harassed women. There was some sexual harassment that went on. The Athletic wrote an unbelievable scathing piece on the Detroit Tigers today. And what a classless, lowbrow organization they are. And I know they're in first place and they got a good team and it had nothing to do with the players. This was not an article about the players or anything. This had to do with people in the front office, and they're grotesque. But the Lions are not. The Lions are class. The Lions put winning in front of everything else. They're a good culture. They're together. There's no breakage. There's no breaking with the culture right now. It's one bad game. Are the things they need to work on? Am I worried that the center position is going to be of course I am. But I think they'll work this out. But I like Dan Campbell's answer today. He's like, yeah, I don't blame the fans. We set the bar high. So now they got work to do. And we'll see how they do on on Sunday against the Bears. All right, there is one decent to good stat that I have to share with you about Sunday's game against the Packers and where the Lions stand statistically, because a lot of it isn't pretty. We will do that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. And our broadcast today is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NFL season is here, as you know, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, right? It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. We got a Thursday night dandy tomorrow night with the Packers and Commanders. Get in on the action with FanDuel. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And Locked On Lions also today is sponsored by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep as early as tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered, all right? Their trade master perks, like priority shipping and dedicated support, make the whole process smoother. They're awesome. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks, like priority shipping, like I said, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHNFL5 to get 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Supply House, real people, real service. All right, welcome back in, everybody, on a Wednesday edition of a Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen, everybody. Don't forget, you can follow us and like us on our Locked On Lions Instagram page. We are on TikTok as well. Find me on all social media platforms as well. Hit me up. And please leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. We'll do a call of the day on Friday. So thanks to all of you that check us out wherever you get your podcasts, like I said. All right, stats. They were not pretty. All right, Lions offense right now is like 29th in the league. Lions defense right now is like 28th in the league. It's one game. All right, it's one game. With that being said, after rewatching the film, after checking out all the clips, and all the beat writers, a lot of times, especially on Twitter, post a lot of all 22 film and clips, and I was watching a lot of it yesterday. The one stat that you can kind of feel good about, if that's even possible, after last weekend's debacle in Green Bay, is the Lions are just 11th in the league in run defense. They gave up 78 yards rushing the other day, which is the 11th best in the league. One guy that I thought played better on tape than you watched during the game was Tyleik Williams, the team's first-round pick, who, of course, is a defensive tackle. I thought there were plays where Tyleik Williams stayed in his lane, kept contained, forced the running back inside to where Tyleik's friends could come in and maul him. And I think there's something there with the rookie defensive tackle. Yes, Green Bay had so much success, especially on their first drive through the air, where Jordan Love was 8 for his first 8 and spread it around to 8 different receivers. And the Lions couldn't get any pressure on the quarterback, which is going to be a big deal this Sunday. They must pressure Caleb Williams. They have to. He is not good under pressure. But stopping the run game wasn't so bad this past Sunday. Josh Jacobs didn't go off for 100 yards. The Lions held the Packers to 78 yards rushing. The linebackers came up, whether it was Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, and did a nice job. There weren't a ton of missed tackles. There wasn't a ton of movement up front in the run game. The pass game was a different story. All right, it was really bad. But if you're trying to find a silver lining from Sunday, and there's not many, all right, Lions got waxed. But as far as run defense goes through at least 1 week, They are 11th in the league. They only gave up 78 yards. The Bears are a different story, which we will talk about in a second, because they had some issues as well. By the way, congratulations to Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who was named today the NFC's Offensive Player of the Week. Why not? 3 touchdowns in the second half, and including 1 rushing, helped the Vikings win that very tough road game there at Soldier Field. Pretty incredible stuff. All right, so I mentioned before, Bears issues. What do the Lions, what do they got to do Sunday? All right, Dan Campbell said it the other day. We got to get back to our bread and butter. We got to get back to where we won football games the last couple of years and won a lot of football games the last couple of years. And we could talk about the loss of Ben Johnson and what Benedict meant to the offense and John Morton and all that stuff. But you know what really helped Ben Johnson succeed and do quite well in third down situations, in play calling, in creativity? The Lions ran the football. Last few years, heck, you can go back to the 9-win season when Jamal Williams was crying in week 18 when they beat the Packers. And Jamal Williams was bawling his eyes out there at Lambeau because the Lions did something they hadn't done in a long time. That was have a winning record, and that was win at Lambeau. Remember that night? Jamal Williams had a big game. Then they replaced Jamal Williams with David Montgomery. Then they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions have got to run the ball. And did you watch what happened this Sunday or Monday night? The Minnesota Vikings at halftime trailed that game 10-6. And they had 31 yards of rushing in the first half. That was it. Second half, they ran for 89 and finished with 120 yards rushing, including Jordan Mason getting loose, Aaron Jones getting loose, and J.J. McCarthy running for a touchdown. The Lions have got to run behind Penei Sewell Sunday. If you watch the game Monday night, we all watched it. Come on, Bears, Vikings, who missed that? Unless you were just so disgusted by the Lions performance, you're like, I'm done. But the Vikings pulled their guards. They ran some counter plays, and they shoved it down the Bears' throats, running behind the right side of the line, including former Lion Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson's on the Bears. Talk about the Vikings. The Vikings didn't have Christian Darrisaw and still won. But they ran around behind their right side and had some really good success. So the Bears' run defense gave up 120 yards, including 89. So let's call it 90 yards in the second half. And looked a little susceptible. All right. I like Grady Jarrett. Montez Sweat is a very good pass rusher. But I think, Dengbo is a good pass rusher, but I think you can run against those edges. Remember what we talked about last week? Oh, the Lions should just run it right at Micah Parsons, run it at him. They never had the opportunity. They were discombobulated communication-wise, what we talked about yesterday, what Dan Campbell said of the ticket, all of that. The Lions get back to running the football, they can do some damage. Feed the rock. Last week, they started the game with Jahmyr Gibbs, and they were running Gibbs up the middle, which I didn't understand. Get Gibbs in space. But even if you start the game with a David Montgomery rush up the gut, or just establishing your will early with Montgomery against his former team, I have no problem with that. As long as you're mixing Gibbs in some capacity, of course. Man, I'm so excited for Sunday. I love this. I think this is what they needed. I think they needed some motivation. You can't tell me that Jared Goff and some of the players on the Lions are not going to be motivated to see Ben Johnson on the sideline. I'm not saying it's bad blood. And Campbell said the other day, Ben's still a good friend of mine. Ben Johnson did a lot of talking this offseason. A lot. And some of it was ribbing and some of it was fun. Took a little shot at Jared Goff for not being able to run great at the, and all that. But I think this is where all the stuff with the offense can be fixed if they can just ground and pound early. Yes, communication. Yes, Glasgow's got to play better. Yes, Ratledge and Mahogany got to do better. But if you start establishing the run, that opens up so much more. And the Bears got smoked in the second half on the ground by the Vikings. They did. All right, coming up next, we're going to play a little game, something different, something fun for the first time. Stud or stiff? And Locked On Lions for today is brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Yes. Hang on a second. Where is my Mazda? See, this is where. Oh, there we go. Mazda. Let's talk Mazda. Mazda craft cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more double IHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Well, Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model and every car. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Still getting my bearings straight and my timing down with all of our new ads and sponsors. And we appreciate everybody for being with us here on Locked On Lions. We appreciate you guys that are out there. Check us out on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't, and see what we have in store for you each and every day here on Locked On Lions. We will have a show on Sunday. So we're doing 6 shows this week. We'll have a show after the game on Sunday. Don't forget, the Locked On Lions squad show will be live Sunday with Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. We got to get Bradford back on the show. Those guys and girls will be live Sunday. My show will be likely about an hour after the game. So check us out on Sunday. All right, new game. I stole this from 30 years ago when I was doing radio in Cleveland, called Stud or Stiff. And what makes this game difficult is you have to answer stud, meaning awesome player, whatever, or stiff, meaning not good. You can't say in between. You can't go, well, he's kind of in the middle, or not. It's stud or stiff. So for following week 1, where my mind is with certain players, let's do 5 Lions right now and play the game, stud or stiff. First off, Jared Goff. I'm going to still say stud. All right. Very good quarterback, leader of the team, confident. Bad game the other day. Still saying stud for Jared Goff. Number 2, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Come on. We know the answer to this. It's stud. I don't care that his numbers were a little bit down this past Sunday. Nobody played well. This is as good a receiver as there is in this league. I'm saying stud for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Next on the list, Terrion Arnold. Stud or stiff? I got to say stiff. I like him. I think he's going to be good. I'm going to make all the excuses for him. A little bit of a groin injury. Hopefully nothing serious. We'll find out with the injury report. But no. Right now, if you have to say stud or stiff, you have to. You can't go in between, which I want to do. Terrion Arnold, I got to say stiff. Sorry, I got to do that. Next up, Jake Bates. Stud. The kicker list is gone. It's back there, but it's buried. I'm not reaching for it. They need to do a kicker list in Cleveland, where Andre Schmidt just missed 2 bad field goals on Sunday, and the folks in Cleveland and the media there, they want him gone. After 1 game, guy beat out Dustin Hopkins for the kicker job. But no, Jake Bates, stud. Always dependable, makes the big kicks, and I think will play a factor on Sunday for sure against the Bears. Finally, the last one on the list for today, maybe we'll do this every Wednesday, stud or stiff, Marcus Davenport. Stiff. Can anybody argue with me on this? I think he's got a chance to be a good piece this year. Everybody raved about how he looked in training camp. Everybody said he's going to have a big year if he stays healthy. The other day, did we hear his name called? I think he had 1 tackle, maybe 2. Not a good performance from him or really anybody on that defensive line. So if I had to say stud or stiff and couldn't say anything else about Marcus Davenport, I would say stiff. So there you have it. Our first installment of Stud or Stiff. Leave some comments on YouTube. If you hate the bit, we won't do it anymore. If you like it, we'll do 5 more next week. I'm not going to do it every day, but I figured we'd have a little bit of fun with it. And it's something that we did many years ago at the big one, the large one, the giant 1420 WHK years back. All right. Lauren Cox is going to join me tomorrow for Locked On Crossover. We do our crossover Thursday, each and every Thursday. Don't forget, Lions and Bears this weekend, Fox at 1:00. Excited, still into this team. Not giving up on you guys. Not giving up after one game. I get the negativity. I understand how upset people are. I know how excited everybody was about this upcoming season and really what the Lions are going to bring to the table and how poorly they played this past Sunday. But I believe a correction is coming. I do. But they've got work to do. This is not going to be just press some button and magically they'll win 15 games like they did last year. And this schedule is brutal. So it's a smaller almost window for screw ups. You can't, last year, maybe when they played some of these scrub teams and they had Carolina at home and they had Jacksonville at home and things like that, you can afford to make a mistake or two and not let it hurt you. Not this time. Bears are going to come in, they're licking their wounds too, but they're on a short week. And I know that Ben Johnson will make them better. I'm just not so sure it's this season at all. So, all right, that'll do it for us on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen. Tomorrow is the crossover.